There are 2 days ahead that I need you to take seriously, and I mean that. From the Central Plains all the way through the Mississippi Valley and into the Ohio Valley, we are staring down a multi-day severe weather corridor that is going to test this region hard. Today across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri, and then Monday, a day flagged with an enhanced risk from the Storm Prediction Center spanning from eastern Iowa through Illinois, western Indiana, western Kentucky, and western Tennessee. The ingredients are locked in, the atmosphere is loaded, so let's get right into the forecast. Here's the broad picture of what the next 48 hours looks like. For today, Sunday, the SPC has an enhanced risk centered on the central and southern plains, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri at the core, with a slight risk extending from Iowa back down into Oklahoma and Arkansas, and a marginal threat that stretches from the Dixie Alley corridor into South Dakota. Main hazards today are large to very large hail, damaging winds in the 60 to 65 medium pH range, and the potential for tornadoes, including strong ones, especially across Kansas and the Oklahoma City vicinity. Then on Monday, the focus shifts east. The enhanced risk covers eastern Iowa, most of Illinois, southwestern Wisconsin, and south into western Tennessee and northeastern Arkansas. That's all hazards on the table: tornadoes, potentially violent ones, widespread damaging winds, and significant hail. The 45% any severe probability the SPC is carrying for Monday tells you exactly how confident forecasters are that this day is going to produce. Now, why is all of this happening? A significant shortwave trough is diving into the region and driving a surface low to rapidly deepen across the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes area. As that low strengthens, it draws a surge of warm, moisture-laden air northward out of the Gulf, pushing dew points into the upper 60s across parts of the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley. Ahead of the associated cold front and dry line, you've got a collision zone between that deeply unstable warm sector and the forcing of a powerful 50 to 70 knot jet streak at 500 millibars. The combination of extreme instability, strong and clockwise curved low-level wind shear, and organized mid-level flow is essentially a textbook recipe, not just for supercells, but for the kind capable of long-track, violent tornadoes. Starting with today, Sunday, the threat is real, but comes with a catch: convective initiation. The atmosphere is extraordinarily favorable for tornadoes across Kansas, Oklahoma, and into Texas. The problem is storm initiation, particularly from Oklahoma City southward toward Dallas-Fort Worth. Models are not advertising widespread development in that southern zone through the afternoon, but here's where the danger escalates. If storms fire near or after sunset across Kansas and Missouri, and the nocturnal tornado threat comes into play, this situation gets significantly more dangerous. After dark, tornadoes become nearly impossible to spot visually. The environment across this corridor tonight is more favorable than yesterday, and it covers a larger area. Near Manhattan and Topeka, through Wichita and toward Oklahoma City, these communities need to be on high alert today and especially tonight. Hail up to baseball size is possible near Kansas City and Oklahoma City this evening. If supercells organize into that after midnight window, the tornado threat becomes the lead story for the overnight hours. Weather radio on your nightstand, alerts active on your phone, a tornado warning at 2 a.m. is not the time to figure out how to get notified. Now, Monday, this is the day I really want you to dial in on. The SPC's enhanced risk covers eastern Iowa, essentially all of Illinois, southwestern Wisconsin, western Indiana, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, and northeastern Arkansas. And given the environment modeled, there's a real argument this risk could be upgraded before the day is over. SPC forecasters noted explicitly that if discrete supercell mode is maintained for a sustained period, tornadic potential could maximize, including the possibility of long-track, particularly damaging tornadoes. We're not talking about brief spin-up tornadoes in a squall line. We're talking about supercells that could sustain long-track EF2 plus tornado paths across densely populated parts of Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. Davenport, the Quad Cities, Peoria, Springfield, Champaign, St. Louis, all of these communities are in a direct threat corridor. The damaging wind threat up through Chicago and Milwaukee is also serious. Gusts of 60 to 80 mph are possible, enough to cause widespread structural damage. And the hail threat is not to be overlooked either. Very large hail, 2 inches or larger, is likely across central Illinois and east of the Ozarks. Further south on Monday, the lower Mississippi Valley is also in the game. Memphis, Jonesboro, and Little Rock will see a significant threat of damaging winds and embedded tornadoes in a more linear storm mode as the evening progresses. An isolated tornado threat persists into western Tennessee and Kentucky overnight, with the broken squall line continuing east toward Nashville and Huntsville into the pre-dawn hours of Tuesday. Now let's walk through the timing, because knowing when the threat peaks near you gives you the best chance of being prepared. For today, across the plains, scattered storms around 1 to 2 p.m. Early on, isolated large hail is the primary concern. By 2 to 3 p.m., I'm watching the Tulsa area and any remnant outflow boundary for an isolated supercell attempt. The environment exists for a tornado if something can get discrete. The threat really accelerates around sunset, roughly 7 to 8 p.m. Central. By then, a couple of supercells should be established near the Kansas-Oklahoma border and into Missouri. Large hail and tornadoes both on the table. Pushing past 10 p.m., the tornado concentration may be highest across southern Kansas and into northwestern Missouri. If you're from Wichita to Kansas City, tonight is not a night to be complacent. For Monday, redevelopment begins by late morning near St. Louis and southwestern Iowa, despite some morning stabilization from leftover storms. By 1 to 2 p.m., storms in central Illinois are shifting east with a damaging wind threat. By 4 p.m., discrete supercell development is expected across eastern Iowa and the St. Louis metro. This is your critical window. Between 4 and 9 p.m., the tornado threat is at its highest across central and eastern Illinois, southeastern Iowa, and eastern Missouri. If you're in Springfield, Champaign, Decatur, or anywhere in that corridor from St. Louis towards Chicago, this is when you need to be inside and actively monitoring alerts. By 7 to 8 p.m., storm clusters are pushing into Indiana, Wisconsin, and Kentucky with embedded damaging winds of 60 to 80 mph. Isolated tornado risk extends into the overnight across southern Indiana and Ohio as the line continues east. The technical piece worth highlighting: the low-level hotographs forecast for Monday are large and clockwise curved across the enhanced risk zone. That shape is specifically associated with the most dangerous supercell environments, the ones that produce persistent, strong rotation and long-track tornadoes. The 850 millibar jet running at 40 to 50 knots out of the south strengthens that low-level shear into the evening, extending the tornado threat window well past sunset. With ML Cape values of 2,500 to 4,000 joules per kilogram already being modeled across the warm sector, the instability is abundant. The key question is whether storm mode stays discrete long enough, and current guidance suggests there's a real chance it does for part of the afternoon. Rainfall rates with the heavier storm clusters could also produce localized flash flooding across already saturated soils in parts of the Mississippi Valley. Travel along I-55, I-64, and I-70 through the Midwest on Monday afternoon and evening could be severely disrupted. If you have travel planned, strongly consider shifting your timing. This is a serious outbreak setup. Have your shelter plan ready before the storms arrive. Know how you'll receive warnings and what you'll do if the power goes out. Severe weather season isn't winding down. We are right in the heart of it, with May and all its potential still ahead. Hit subscribe if you want every update through this event. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video.